Hi everyone, my name is Hope and I am excited to share my Gold Award project with you. My project is my project was to advance skills in traits in young children by using a first-person perspective. I wrote a book that focuses on fostering positive traits in children such as leadership, kindness, empathy, and confidence. Over the next hour and a half or so, I'll take you through why I chose this project, how I created it, what I learned, and how I impacted my community. First, I want to say thank you so much for listening along. I'm going to be looking down a bit because I have some notes to make sure I don't miss anything important. Um, and I apologize for any background noise. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy. So, like I said, my name is Hope Friedman. I am a senior in high school, and I am in the midst of completing my Gold Award. I started Girl Scouts in first grade, so this means a lot to me. To be here to share my project means a lot, and just be able to use all the knowledge that I've learned in all my years of Girl Scouts is a big accomplishment. I'm here today to share my project that I have spent the last 2 years or so creating to hopefully make a difference in not just my community, but in many communities outside of mine. Um, the problem the problem identified is that children often don't get enough guidance in developing positive traits like leadership, kindness, empathy, and confidence, since schools primarily focus on more academic things. I don't think that schools just focus on these things, and they definitely do have. There are times that they learn about kindness and empathy, but I want there to be a way that they not just learn it in school, but also at home and in a bunch of different settings, and in a way for adults to know how um, to teach it to children, not just in one area. Um, I think these skills are very essential, so it was very important to me when I first thought of this. I also found that while there are a lot of self help books out there, none were written with a first person perspective because I'm a child and I know I wanted to share more about how children learn and how from a child's perspective on how I learn, and hopefully I can use that to guide other parents and educators to use my information and hopefully help other children who are just like me. The whole time I knew I wanted to do something with children and being able to guide them. And I wanted to do something with children and guiding them, but I wasn't exactly sure how to do that. First, I interviewed my health teacher, and I took out a lot of books at the library and a lot about how children learn and about skills that are important for children to learn, especially when they're younger and at different ranges, at different age ranges. So I knew I wanted to create something. I knew it was going to be something like a book, and I used, so my original idea was to write a guide on how to join Girl Scouts because I know that these children, a way to successfully teach these traits was Girl Scouts, because that's what I knew. That's how I learned these traits, like kindness and leadership. I learned that through Girl Scouts. So I was like, what's a better way of teaching these skills than to teach how to join a program that will combine all these skills and so much more. So I thought I really wanted to do something with Girl Scouts. So I proposed this idea to my council, and my council advised me to make it more widespread to my whole community, not just the Girl Scout community. I took their advice and I tried to make it more general, so it helped more children, not just girls or people interested in Girl Scouts. And also in this case, if I did make the book about Girl Scouts, it would be for troop leaders. And I didn't want it to be just for troop leaders. I wanted it to be more. And that's what they helped me see too. They helped me see that this project shouldn't just be for one category, like one group. It should be for a whole community, specifically my community, but I want to make sure it's all communities. So that's how I landed on a book guiding children on how to learn these traits. So it's not just about Girl Scouts, it's more generalizable. Even though these traits could be used for Girl Scouts, if you know what I mean. It could be for multiple things. So about the book, my audience is parents, caregivers, teachers, anyone who works or influences children's growth and development, even children if they want to learn more about themselves or they have younger siblings. So many different people. It's not just for one group. My goal is to provide an accessible resource that helps adults initially foster positive traits like leadership, kindness, empathy, and confidence in children so they grow into caring and capable individuals who can make a difference in their community. Yeah. The impact of my project is that parents and caregivers and teachers now have a clear, practical resource to guide children in building strong character traits, which not only helps children grow into confident, empathetic leaders, but also strengthens families, schools, and communities over time. Yeah. And I also want to say that my project, a big part, I'll talk about it more later, but a big part of the Gold Award is to make it really sustainable. And that's what I really wanted to make sure I included in my impact. Because if it wasn't sustainable, then it wouldn't really last. And that was part of my goal. So my goal for one is accessibility and one teaching others, but I really want to make sure it doesn't just teach others for a month or for a year or two. I want to make sure it lasts years and gets passed on, so it's not just me who has to keep talking about it, but it gets passed on to other parents, troop leaders, and people start talking about it, and hopefully it can spread. This slide shows the process I went through to bringing my book to life. I started by brainstorming ideas. I asked myself certain questions, like, I want to empower children, but who should I target the book towards? Because I originally wanted to target it towards troop leaders, but then over time, with guidance, I figured out more. How can I involve my own thoughts and ideas into the book? I found a great way by using a first-person perspective. So I wanted to focus on how I could empower children and decide who my target audience was. Yeah. From there, I worked on titles and chapters. I even surveyed to see which traits people felt were most important to teach children. I asked troop leaders, I asked parents, what do you think the most important trait is to teach children at different age groups? And how do you think your children learn, or how do you think that children learn in general to get these ideas across? And I got a lot of helpful feedback. So it was very important, and it ties along with community help because it was very important. Even asking my teachers in school for guidance was getting help from my community. So I set up meetings and interviews with teachers, parents, communities, people in my community. Their feedback was valuable for making the book practical and meaningful. Finally, the project became a real book. That's the cover. It's called The Go-To Guide to Empowering Our Youth. To reach more people, I made it on Apple Books, and I don't know if you can see, but it says YouTube. Sorry. So I made it on YouTube. So I also created YouTube content to spread its message. This process taught me the importance of planning, listening to feedback, and using different platforms to share a message. I'll talk about the YouTube channel a little bit more later. So far, I've explained why I chose this project and how I created my book. But I think the best way for you to really understand what it is to hear a little bit from the book. So here is the introduction directly from the book. So I'm going to read it off of the thing. Are you a parent, an educator, someone who works with children? If you said yes to any of those questions, then you are in the right place. As someone who cares for kids, you already know how important it is to teach and encourage positive traits like kindness, empathy, leadership, and confidence. These aren't just nice to have qualities, they're the foundation for how children grow, connect with others, and understand the world. Every adult worries about how their child will turn out. You want to help them, guide them, and give them everything they need to become a strong, kind, and capable person. But sometimes knowing how to do that is the hard part. You don't need to be a child development expert to understand that childhood is one of the most important stages of life. It's when children figure out who they are, how to solve problems, how to relate to others, and how to bounce back when things get tough. That kind of strength can feel overwhelming, not just for kids, but for adults in their lives too. We all want to get it right. We want to give them the tools to not just survive in the world, but to move through it with purpose, kindness, and courage. I wrote this because I've seen how much children need encouragement to believe in themselves, to show kindness, to take the lead, and to feel okay with who they are. I've also seen how many adults want to help but don't always know how. This is for them. Each chapter in the book focuses on one specific trait. I talk about why it matters, how to teach it, how to encourage it, and I share my own thoughts and key takeaways. I've written it with younger children in mind, but the ideas can be used with older children too. You don't need to read it in order. In fact, I encourage you to skip around to whatever speaks to you or fits what your child needs right now. My goal isn't to help adults or kids. It's to help adults guide kids in learning about themselves and to make them feel safe and comfortable in their own bodies and in their lives. Children are not things to be molded, but are people to be unfolded. That was a quote by Jess Lair. This book isn't here to force traits onto children. It's here to bring out what's already inside them and let them shine. Okay, so that was the introduction. So as I said, there are 5 different categories. Definition, why it's important, how to teach it, how to encourage and foster it, and my thoughts on this case would be kindness because it's chapter 1, and personal experiences. The last bullet is my personal favorite because it really, it's kind of my purpose for writing the book. I wanted to bring my first person perspective into it, and while those are in the other chapters, I really wanted to take what I know and directly put it into the book. So people know that this is how, it's just a different way of putting the information on the page. And every chapters are something different. I don't even remember what I put in chapter 1, but I've put different activities, I've put different experiences I've learned. There's all different types of things that I put in the personal experiences, and it's my personal favorite section. I mean, I'm a little biased because it's about me, but my favorite. So I do want to give you a little taste of the book. I read the introduction, but I want to briefly read. I won't go into too much detail, but I want to briefly read a little bit about chapter 1, just so you can get the format and understand what I put in the book to help my goal come through. And I'll talk about that later, but I'll read briefly chapter 1 now. So this one was about kindness. According to the definition, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, being kind is defined as having a sympathetic or helpful nature. However, as helpful as the dictionary is, it doesn't reflect how everyone personally defines kindness. After surveying people of different ages, I gathered these responses on what kindness means to them. First child, 10 years old, kindness is something to bring people closer together and the world a better place. Teenager, age 13, kindness is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. And I wrote a bunch, but I'll just read one more. Adult, kindness is to provide happiness to someone else without want or reward to oneself. Why is it important? Today, kindness is an often overlooked trait. This is because it is thought to be self-explanatory, but kindness ultimately stems from childhood. When parents teach or model what it means to be kind, the child is more likely to follow their lead. This thought of kindness being self-explanatory is the reason so many children are uneducated about what it is and how to show it. Kindness is such a small but important part of our lives that takes so little time but means a lot. So it's very important to teach the youth to do the same so they can grow up and teach their children the same. Next, how to teach it. Being able to openly talk with children about key concepts like kindness is very important for helping them understand what kindness is and how to apply it. It is in their and how to apply it in their lives. To do that, it's important to talk about the right things in a way that makes sense for their age. Below, I've put together a list of discussion topics that are appropriate for different age groups. First, I'll just read a bit from each, but first, 3 to 5 year olds. Teach saying please and thank you, what it means to them to share toys. This is more difficult for younger children because of their limited communication skills and ability to voice their opinions. So it's very important to model these skills. After someone holds the door for you, be sure to tell your child to say thank you and make it clear what you want them to say. Or when they want something, you should tell them to say please and help them understand why they are saying it. For example, correcting children after they use not nice words can be a great opportunity to talk about why it's important to use kinder words and how it might feel if someone said that to them. For 6 to 8 year olds, apologizing and forgiving, recognizing when someone needs help, talking about feelings and how to respond kindly. Talking about feelings doesn't relate a lot to kindness, but understanding themselves before helping others is very important. And I made sure to emphasize that in the book. 9 to 11 year olds, helping new students feel welcome, respecting differences in others and ourselves. 12 to 18 year olds, supporting friends through tough times, showing kindness online and on social media, leading by example and acts of kindness. So these are just a few of many discussions that you can have with children about how to be kind and why it's important not only for others but for themselves. Next is how to encourage and foster it. I listed a few ideas. I listed a few activities, so I'll just read two or so for you. Kindness jar. Kids write kind acts that they witness or do on slips of paper and place them in a jar and read them out loud later. And kindness chain. Link paper strips together, each with a kind act written on it to form a growing visual of their impact. Next, I put some books. It's easier to look in my book to see the different recommendations I put for these because I put books and websites, but I'll read it's hard to show it, but the first one is How Have You Filled a Bucket Today by Carol McLeod. I like this book. It's good to show how to show kindness. And then I also added some resources. I'll just share one. PBS Kids for Parents has a lot of great resources. So that's just an example of some of the things I put in the chapters. And then the last but not least is my thoughts and my thoughts on kindness and personal experiences. I will read this whole thing. It's a little bit longer, but I think it does show what I'm trying to get across in these chapters. So it was important for me to read this whole thing. So I'm just gonna share it with you. Children are widely known for speaking their minds and not being afraid to say comments that might hurt others. At their age, they are navigating the world and don't understand the impact of words. This isn't an impact of parenting or what they learn in school, but instead a typical thing like that children do. Despite it hurting people's feelings, it's actually a great learning opportunity and time to bring up some of the discussion topics above or have a meaningful conversation with children about their actions. As a child, I was always taught to treat others with kindness. And treat others how you want to be treated. I would always scoff and look away, but it's true. If they were the ones experiencing the mean comments or harmful acts, they would be hurt too. This is why it's important to teach kindness. When I was younger, I was taught a great lesson at my sleepaway camp about kindness. It's simple, but it has a big impact. The counselor grabbed a piece of paper and told us to tell the paper mean comments. Everyone around me started screaming comments like "you're ugly" or "I don't like your shirt." And with every comment, she would crumple up a side of the paper until finally it was just one big crumpled ball. Then she told us to compliment the paper and tell it nice things. Once again, the people around me started shouting, "I like your hair" and "your shoes are nice." And with every compliment, she would smooth it and try to straighten it. Once the paper was fully straightened, she told us to look closely at it. It had folds and creases in the paper despite looking straight. She told us that despite our attempts to making them feel better, we would never take back the original mean comments we first made. This really ingrained in my brain that no matter how much we apologize, those comments and mean acts will still stick with someone forever, no matter how much put together they seem. I didn't include this activity under the How to Encourage and Foster It section because I truly think that this activity deserves more area to be explained and show the impact it had on me. I do highly recommend this activity though. I often work with children in my community and can see the impact on them too. While I haven't shown them these activities, I do see how they react when others give them compliments or do nice acts for them. They might seem more timid at first, but when they get a compliment, you can really see the confidence build up and their shyness disappear. Before writing this book, I conducted a survey asking questions to get more insight into details for the book. One of the questions I asked was, what quality do you believe to be the most important trait for children to learn? And there was an overwhelming amount of entries saying that kindness was the most important. I think these parents, educators, and adults see the same thing I see when kids get complimented. They see how good the kids feel and how they understand how much other kids need to display it. Because of the results, I chose to do the kindness category first and can't wait to continue educating and spreading more ways for children to be leaders and feel more comfortable in their bodies. So that was just chapter 1. It was brief reading. It's a longer chapter. This one was about 8 pages. Yeah, about 8 pages. So that was just a quicker reading. I go into more detail in my other videos. But again, talk about it later. Next, I want to talk about my impact and future goals. So first, I want to make an impact on Girl Scouts. As I said before, I've been a Girl Scout for, I want to say 11 years now. I think this is my 12th year, actually. And I have learned a lot in Girl Scouts. I have learned how to be an entrepreneur. I've learned how to problem solve, be a leader, take responsibility. I have learned so much in Girl Scouts. And the point of the Gold Award is to give back, to take everything that I've learned and give it back to my community. And one of the ways for me to give it back to my community is to give it back to the Girl Scout community. So first, I'm going to leave a copy of my book in the Girl Scouts of my local Girl Scouts main office, and I want it to be used as a educational tool for leaders. So it's not just in my local community, but I really want to help Girl Scouts. And I want to also hold meetings and information sessions with leaders and future leaders to keep the conversation going and exchange ideas. I really hope that my book makes an impact on my local community so I can achieve my goal and share what I learned and wrote with my community. After that, I hope to expand my project from my community to other communities throughout my state and the United States, and I'll share more of how I will do that in my sustainability slide. But those are really my whole goals. But I have, let's see what's on the next slide. Yeah, these are my goals and how I solved them. So first, my goal, not really purpose, well, both my goal and purpose. My first one was to educate parents and educators on how children learn. The method was I wrote a book that is accessible and easy to understand for multiple types of people, and also with their first person perspective. Next, I wanted to help my community present to people who are local and willing to learn about my projects. Then I wanted to make a sustainable project to empower children and is accessible and reliable. And in order to do this, I used Apple Books and printed copies to maintain sustainability. I posted YouTube videos to educate and share opinions that may not have been shared in the book. I think that's the next slide. Let's see. Oh, it's the next slide, but I'll share this first. So a big part of the Gold Award, I think I said this before, but is sustainability. You don't want this to just be something that you share once and it's over. It's something that you want to continue. When I was younger, to start this process, you need to do something called the Gold Award and then the Silver Award, then this. That's the process I took. And I first did my Gold Award. I first did my Bronze Award. And for my Bronze Award, me and my other troop members created something called Little Libraries for our our middle schools. And we created these boxes that we put into the middle schools, and people would take a book and leave a book, and we painted them, and it took a long time, and we shared them at meetings, and they're still there today. And this was about, I want to say, 8 years ago, or yeah, about 7 years ago. So sustainability is really important, because if we hadn't have shared about it, if we hadn't have put it in our middle school, then it may not have been here today. It may be ruined, or if we didn't share about it, no one may have been upkeeping it, and we'd have to take care of it, which isn't really sustainable. So sustainability is really important, and it's something I really wanted to make a big point in my project. So first, distribution. I used I use my book and my YouTube channel to reach as many people as possible, so the resources and lessons are accessible to the community even after my project ends. So my future goals, I hope my book and videos continue to inspire others to foster leadership, kindness, and confidence in children. And then the legacy of my project is that I will keep helping people grow and encourage others to make a lasting positive impact through my book, but also just through me. Next, this is my YouTube channel, which I will be posting this video onto. It's called The Go-To Guide, and it looks like this. The profile picture is my book, what it looks like. So if you can see right here, I have 8 videos. They're each around an hour long, I'd say. They're about an hour long. There's 8 chapters in my book, and there's 8 videos. They each go over a video. So I shared with you today about kindness, but if you did want to learn more about my book and each chapter specifically, I have very in-depth, because I maybe shared, I think took maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes to read, maybe even less to read the kindness chapter, but if you look there, it's an hour long. So if you really wanted to go into depth with me, learn more about me, because I did share a lot about me, about Girl Scouts, about the writing process, I wrote about it in every video, so you could really look at any video if you wanted to see that. But if you want to go into more depth about the book, about the chapter specifically, I'd recommend checking out the videos. They're very helpful, and I took a lot of time to make them. And it's one of the ways I wanted to make it sustainable. I knew I wanted to make YouTube videos to begin with. So, yeah, it was definitely something that will help it pass on. This YouTube channels don't really disappear. You can always find it on YouTube. So, even if you don't want to visit it now, it'll still be here a year from now. So, okay. Next, reflections and closing. So what I learned. My project challenged me in ways I didn't expect. I learned how to manage a long-term project, how to research deeply, and how to keep going even when writing felt overwhelming. I also grew in confidence, and presenting this here today is proof of the growth. I don't think I would have been doing this before. Go-to-word has just taught me a lot, especially confidence and communication skills. Most importantly, I also learned that one person's ideas can make a real difference. Working on my Go-to-word showed me that when you combine passion with persistence, you can create something meaningful. And I hope this book inspires others to nurture positive traits in children and to see the value in small, everyday acts of leadership and kindness. The whole point of the Go-to-word is to show reflection and to not only make impact on your community, but also make an impact on your life. I wasn't just doing this to help my community, even though it's a big part. I did this to help me. I did this to share more about. I did this to learn more about me and about how I can grow. And when I first started this, I didn't think I was going to learn about this. And it's something that you learn in the process. You don't think you're going to learn these things, but you do. By researching about children, I learned a lot about myself. in ways of how I can show kindness and leadership, and about ways how other children grow. And it's just a whole thing that I didn't think I was going to learn. So it's really interesting. And yeah. So I definitely learned a lot, but those are just a few key concepts. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Again, if you want to learn more about my other books, sorry, I don't have other books. My other chapters, I have 8 other videos you can watch, and feel free to watch them at any point. I also have my email linked in the description, so I'll take any questions, and I will be doing some live seminars too tomorrow or so. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's going to be YouTube live, so if you just see me on YouTube live, join along, ask questions. So it's probably going to be the same format, so it won't be too much. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you learned something more about me and my books. Hopefully, my book mainly, because it was my project and it took a lot of time to do. So I really hope that it helped in some way. Okay, thank you so much.